Hey there, YouTube friends. Mass Bandit here. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I always appreciate it. We are back in BroAcres for another episode. And first things first, wanted to go ahead and extend the little canopy over the actual station. Someone mentioned that in a previous comment. Thought I would go ahead and do that now. I kind of like that it still doesn't stretch all the way across. I dig that. So, and after that I realized, oh, there's like no fences or anything. So, I'm still unsettled. I'm still undecided on whether or not I want to add the, what's it called? The lattice underneath. Maybe. I don't know. I don't mind the wood. I think it's okay. But yeah, adding a simple fence, and I love the garish colors. Like, it's exactly what I want. If that offends you from a color perspective, good. Then I did my job. So other than that, it's just adding some safety railings so nobody falls over and hurts themselves, and supporting the actual path. And then we'll get into some new things in the episode. So as I sit here, 11 days from Halloween, I'm excited. I'm surprised at how much I've been able to get done in just a little over a few weeks. Pretty cool. Gonna just keep plowing ahead and trying to get as much done as I can, so that I can have a fairly strong vibe, a fairly strong fall vibe. That's kind of what I want. I want a little project that really sells the idea of fall. Oh, I call this part of the video piles and piles of pumpkins. Most of the little pumpkin patches I go to, that I've been to, they don't actually grow their own. Only once have I been to one where they actually have like pumpkin fields where you grow pumpkins. Usually it's a field that they use for something else, and they truck the pumpkin ends and dump them into very nondescript, like this little rows in an empty field. And so that's what we do here. We start with the pumpkins, and they're just completely random. There's really no rhyme nor reason with them. That's how they're organized. I would have loved to have taken the time to actually, like, spent some time actually tilting some like off their axis just a little bit, but I wasn't about to do that. Each little chunk are like hundreds of pumpkins, at least 100 pumpkins. I wasn't about to do that with 300 pumpkins. So yeah, you'll just have to deal with it. And then there was always random bales of hay around, and the ground was kind of rough and kind of not fun to walk through. And so you take your little tractor ride over there, and you pick out your pumpkin, and you either walk back or you get back on the tractor, and that's how that works. So every once in a while I realize, oh, this is kind of the end of the property, and I figured that we should have little chunks of foliage and stuff to kind of shore up the edges. So that's what we're doing here, and kind of going along the fence line, kind of dirtying it up. It looks a little too pristine for a farm. So I don't know what crop that would be that's still growing over there. It probably shouldn't even be there, but I like it. I think it looks good. So adding some crop lines, I thought this was a nice way to convey that this is indeed a field. In the growing season, it's actually a field. So, and you see we get the terrain difference here. So we need to go ahead and we need to spiffy up this area, and we need to build our little tree wall. And no, I know it's not the most realistic tree wall, but again, it's a tree wall. It's a tree line. It's from a distance. I want it to read like there's forest back there. And from peep view, once you get up and above, yeah, it's probably going to break the illusion quite quickly, but I'm okay with that. I wanted it to look like, because all the cinematics and all the design that I do, my design focus is peep view, Tegid cam, so I make sure it looks good from that angle, as if you were actually walking through. So, and that's an easy way to immediately tell what your scale is doing. If you jump into Tegid cam and everything just looks massive, yeah, you might have had an issue with scale. I thought this was a real clever way to do those those nature trails, is to kind of outline the tractor road, and then once we get to an area like this, I could just go ahead and make a giant quote plaza. And I do end up I try to cover it as best I can, and I do end up with random hay bales and stuff, but I'm fine with it. Doesn't bother me none. And also then I do have to sink some barriers into the actual farm, or into the maze, because once we get people over here, they do start cutting through, and it looks kind of dopey. So Also wanted to make the maze look a little bit better. You'll see there with the terrain paint, kind of trying to show where the traffic is, trying, the worn grass where people are walking more frequently than not, kind of making their own trails. That's kind of what I wanted to do there. And we're going to make a really simple sign for our straw maze. Our straw maze is technically not hay. Hay is animal feed. Straw is not. Straw is straw. So it makes good bedding, I guess. Straw bedding. So kind of dressing it up, making it look a little bit more legitimate. Enter if you dare. And I do go ahead and add a vista point. And I kind of sink it into ye old maze there. And it does an okay job. It brings people over to look at the entrance, which is kind of cool. I might do one down by the exit as well to get people to congregate near the exit. It feels like that would make sense. You'd go there and wait for friends or something. So I don't know. I like it. It's simple, but you can see here people are really starting to cut through. So trying to add some more little spooky details, some ghosts and some cobwebs and some spooky spiders. They're kind of scary. So again, like I tell my students, we're doing a lot of Halloween activities this week in our class. Celebrate the season. And I always tell them I don't like the gory and the super scary. And I mentioned that when we started this project. Not that I'm afraid of it. It doesn't do nothing for me. I much prefer the fun, silly. Let's put little, ghosts that look like little sheets. A balloon with a sheet over it. Those are my favorite kinds of ghosts. And little cute little I love carving jack-o'-lanterns. In fact, we're going to have to do that this year. If you notice on Twitter, my avatar, or my Twitter image is actually a pumpkin I carved last year of a raccoon to kind of go with the whole channel thing. So I think I might do another one. Might do a profile this time. We'll see what happens. Maybe it'd be pretty cool to actually try and carve my actual avatar that was made custom for me this summer. That'd be kind of neat. Tangenting. Oops, sorry, we got a little bit cut there. So you can see there we added the new flat, the zipper, the topsy-turvy or whatever it's called. I call it the zipper because that's what it was. That was one of my first. Growing up, they had a carnival at one of the churches near my house. I trucked in all kinds of good rides. The zipper was my very first ride that went upside down. It was terrifying because I had to go by myself. Nobody wanted to ride it with me. So I ended up having to do that all by myself, and it scared the poop out of me. But it was a first step in what became a passion in the theme parks and roller coasters and all that. So that's kind of neat. Working on a gazebo for the rest of the video here. We will be working on a custom one. You saw I plopped the in-game one from Vintage, and it's nice. And actually the scale isn't too far off from what I was going for. It just didn't fit. I wanted something much more kind of rustic and old. And it was too nice. I know it came from Vintage Pack, but it was just too nice. So I figured make my own. And since it is fairly small, I decided to actually kind of take my time with it. Sometimes with the size of them, it's just too big, and I have to kind of, if I'm covering a flat ride, they're huge, and the amount of time it takes, especially if you're doing shingles like we do for this one, you'll see, it takes forever. And so having the patience to make the shingles raised and curved, and well, you'll see. I don't usually have the heart to do that. I usually don't have the patience to sit through that, but I did today. So I went ahead and I did that, and I think it turned out really, really nice. I really like the colors that we did, and I know it's just standard dulled wood, but this kind of dark green, where you're going to see here, we're going to do a dark green shingle. And I actually like the way this might be one of my more successful spires, I guess, or domes, whatever you want to call it. Is it a spire? I think it's a spire. If it's a gazebo, is it a spire? I don't know. Or is it just a roof? I don't know. So, yeah. So this weekend, as I'm recording this, I am home alone with the children. My wife had to attend a wedding out in Portland, Oregon. So we are home alone, me and the two kids, and that's going to put some strain on the playing and the scheduling and all that, because usually there's some time where I can play and she's taking care of the kids on the weekends. So if you notice an extra day or two has gone by in between this episode and the next one, you'll know why. You'll know why. It's because I have been on dad duty solo this weekend. So it's okay though. They're not too terrible. That's awful to say. Here we are doing a little bit of switching up some roof colors to kind of give it a little bit of extra texture. I would, again, those darn pumpkin lights are too big. I saw Simtanic on BroNation use those new Asian lamps, and those are really cool, but they're too big. They're too big for this, for what I got. So I went with the wreaths, I guess, or the swags, the fall swags, and threw some skulls in there. And that was going to do it. I thought that was pretty good. And then it's just a matter of putting a floor and some railing on. Oh, yeah, and a spoopy spider. So here we are, blocking out where we are. And I tried to do something really fancy, and then I just ended up saying, we don't need that. Like, I was trying to make it fit the wedge perfectly, and I realized I don't need to do that. I can just make it like this, and we'll have some overlap, and it'll be fine. Nobody will care. I won't care. And then that's that. And that's pretty much going to be about the end of the gazebo, because it's that easy. Once you make your little wedge, you go ahead and copy it, and it's all done for you. So, and I wish we had some wispier, would that be the word, wispier spider webs? Some spider webs that fit smaller spaces. I mean, obviously that's my I don't even know my cross to bear, I suppose, is everything needs to be smaller for me. Because the scale at which we build, it doesn't fit what the game intended. So I'd love smaller cobwebs. So separating some hay bales here to go ahead and sink a couple. I like the way they look, and I figured if I put them in other places where you would expect hay bales, maybe they will convey hay bale even better as a maze. And then, hey, look, I'm using the new DLC. Hey, I'm using a candy sugar skull, or a candy skull, or whatever they call it. Deo de los Muertes, is that what that is? That holiday, the Day of the Dead holiday, with that awesome art. I'd love to do that for Halloween one year, dress up like that, paint my face like that. I don't think I'm good enough for that, though. One thing about that, though, is they glow something fierce at night, and I tried to tone it down, and it didn't work. So you'll notice we're sticking some instruments in the gazebo. Big shout out to SPRidley for his jazz set. You can find a link in the description below, and he is a master at art shapes and making small things, and he's incredible. So big shout out to him for those awesome instruments. They fit in there just right. We're gonna say it's a little musical combo. I don't know, maybe it's a bluegrass thing. So you got your fiddle and your drums, and then or your bass and your drums, and then the guy with the fiddle and the mandolin, they show up on their own with their own instrument. It's not out. So that's got a story, and I'm sticking to it. And then I wanted to make some simple benches for people to sit upon if they choose to listen. And I like what I came up with. It's a really simple structure, but I think it feels pretty fine, pretty legit. Just a couple around, just throwing a few around to make it look like it's an area in which to congregate. And that's pretty much it for our little gazebo. So yeah, we just put it into place and do a bit more here and there poking around. And that's about it for this episode. So with that being said, we're going to add, I think we add another flat here at the very, very end. And I'm going to do, after this last flat, and kind of filling in this area with some shops, some more food options and stuff, I think we might try to do some of the more scenery heavy things, like the little playground and stuff like that. Stuff that the peeps won't necessarily use, but will still look really, really cool. So that's kind of probably where I hope we'll be headed. So with that, we're going to hit the cinematics. There they come. And I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please hit the like button. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing so you don't miss anything here on the channel. Have yourself a great day, great night, great whatever. And I will see you for the next episode of BroAcres. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.